you for the lovely introduction. As stated, my name is Jen Miller, and I am a Senior Product Manager here at Revvity Signals, and I've been working in this industry longer than I care to admit. I'd like to extend a warm welcome and thank you for your interest in my presentation about streamlining laboratory inventory management. Some main topics that we will be reviewing today are material libraries, how inventory and materials are used in experiment workflows, and finally a sneak peek at our future functionality. Material and inventory tracking are paramount to modern laboratory practices if full integration with scientific workflows are implemented. We are all seeing the headlines these days about supply chain issues and how it's affecting the availability of materials, equipment, consumables like personal protection equipment, etc. Costs are soaring not only on the items themselves, but also on getting the items from one place to another, not to mention the environmental impact. These factors are making us rethink how we track, use, restock, or even make what is needed to run experiments in the lab. Historically, keeping track of materials in an up-to-date inventory has been a challenge. Asking scientists to log into multiple software systems to do the work that is secondary to their objective is prone to error. With Signals, we've taken a different approach. We believe that by having the materials and inventory upkeep directly in the scientist's workflow, we can reduce the overhead of keeping these systems up to date and bring more value to the organization and to the scientists. With an up-to-date material and inventory system at their fingertips, we can reduce the amount of time scientists spend looking for materials. We aim to reduce costs easily by allowing scientists to see what materials are available near them, and what is set to expire, what is on order, or should be requested before supplies run too low. With all of these important factors, there is one more that we are all acutely aware of, and that is safety. Safety in interacting with and disposing properly of spent materials. This is key to keeping our health and environment safe. With the Signal solution, we help keep track of important safety information, and we display that information to the scientist in the experiment so that they can be aware without having to search for information in yet another solution. All good stories have a strong main character that continues to grow as the story progresses. In this story, our main character is the materials library. The materials library built into Signals Notebook has undergone some significant changes in the past year, and there are more on the way. Here are a few of the highlights that demonstrate how powerful this main character can be. Customize material libraries to unique laboratory workflows. Everyone knows that keeping track of materials you make and what you use to make them is important. But how do you keep such diverse information organized and easily accessible? With the improvements we've made to the materials library, administrators can make as many libraries as needed and adjust them to fit the specific requirements of each material type. Businesses can separate out reagents by compounds, reagents by physical location, or even business units. Need an intermediate library? With or without structures, we've got you covered. Each library type, custom, compound, reagents, DNA, and protein, are developed to cater to data that is relevant to that library. Custom properties, required fields, and uniqueness checking are all adjustable by the administrator. All libraries can have container creation and safety data associated. The newest addition to our material library story is the Helm monomer library. Currently, this library is available in beta, and access can be requested through support. The monomer library ships with 3 standard libraries: Natural, Pistoia Alliance, and Signals, as well as the ability to add custom Helm libraries. In addition to the Helm monomer library, there's also a Helm editor and curation tool, also available for beta. Leveraging the Signals ChemDraw functionality, users can draw their own custom monomers. Using the Curation app, users can upload their own custom monomer libraries. This library is a great illustration of how working together we can expand the capabilities of the Materials Library to support the large molecule workflows. We partnered with customers, external folks, and our own internal experts to bring this next-gen large molecule library to life. For more details about any of these features, please see Dan Weaver's talk in the Life Sciences track. The faster we can get material information into the hands of the scientists, the sooner they can make decisions on what experiments to do next. Additions to the bulk import and update features in Materials Library help us accomplish that goal. Structured data can come in many forms. To better support this, we recently added new formats to bulk import, including Smiles, Inchy, and Helm. Sometimes the structured data isn't perfect. The bulk update is needed. Users can now update structures using Smiles, Inchy, or Helm strings via the CSV file. This can overwrite existing structures or update materials that have optional structures. Maybe the structures aren't the issue and other fields need to be updated. This can be done using the IDs and column match. To keep the materials library as clean as possible, duplicates will not be created. However, optional fields can be cleared if desired. These updates can be done via CSV or SDF. When the updates are complete, users can see a report that shows how many updates were successful, any duplicates or failures. Export Materials also has an update where users can choose no structure, smiles, or inchy. Keeping materials up to date and embracing the ever-changing nature of materials helps everyone have more accurate information and make better decisions. If you're sensing a theme of expansion here, you are correct. In addition to what we've already discussed, we've been adding biological features to the materials library too. With better support for RNA and DNA, scientists can take greater advantage of Signals Notebook and Signals Research Suite capabilities. All this to say, our goal of supporting different types of science is always in the forefront of our minds. Now that we've been able to identify and keep important information about our materials, let's go see how we can leverage that information in inventory and experimental workflows. Now that we've established a way to keep track of all sorts of materials, how can we easily integrate that into an everyday workflow? This is where we've taken a different path. In the next set of slides, I'm going to highlight the areas in the everyday workflow where we integrate from the experiment directly into the materials library and inventory rather than having the users log into another application. Let's say I'm a chemist working in a chemistry lab. I'm going to set up my experiment in my notebook. I have the containers of materials I need sitting in front of me. I can scan those into the quick add of the stoich table and have the information populate in the notebook for me. If I don't have the containers at hand, I can search for containers. I can add material IDs, cast numbers, or use the generic list of reactants. When I scan the containers or add the material IDs, the associated safety information populates, and I can click on the I for more information to see all the data, safety data at once. Once I've finished filling out my experiment, I can start my work. Directly in the stoich table, we can see the inventory decrements column. This allows me to remove amounts from the container we have in the Signals inventory automatically. If I need to switch containers for any reason, I can use the switch container icon and find a new container of the same material and batch and select it instead. This may seem simple on the surface, but there's so much more going on behind the scenes. When I typed into the inventory decrement column, the container was automatically checked out to me. If I take more out of the container than inventory believes is in the container automatically goes to the exhausted status. If I close the experiment without typing into the inventory decrement field, I will get a warning. Also, when I close the experiment, the container goes back to the unassigned, meaning it's no longer checked out to me and has the status of available. And if someone takes the container while I had it and they type into the inventory decrement field, the container is now checked out to them. Now that I've scanned in my materials and removed the amounts to do my experiment, the hope is that I've actually created a product of interest. I take a sample of the completed material, purify it, and now I want to register the material to a material library. I can do that all from the comfort of my experiment. Let's take this one more step. Maybe I want to put the material in a container and give it a label and store it in a location. I can do that from the sample table and never have to log into another app. And one more step. Maybe I want to have the material tested and I need to make a request to another department to have it tested. From the sample table inside the experiment, I can create a task. When I've selected the material for the task automatically associates the material. If I want it to add additional materials, I can do that from the task, or I can submit the same material for the task multiple times. Added bonus, the status of the task is shown in the task table, so I can always come back to the experiment and check up on the status of the submitted task. Let's change personas. Now I'm a biologist, and I'm responsible for running assays with the submitted materials. We can pick up the story where we left off with a chemist submitting a task. As a biologist, I can go to my task dashboard, see the tasks that have been submitted. I can enter which task I want and use the Create Experiment button. And a new experiment with the task to do table is created and pre-filled automatically. Another added bonus, if I use the experiment template already in Signals Notebook, I can already be partially through the data capture process. Let's say I need a few more materials to complete my experiment. To do that, I add the appropriate materials table, just like the stoich table. I can scan container barcodes directly into the rows. I can also decrement the amount I use from the containers by using the inventory decrement column. I can even switch containers if I don't have enough material. And same as before, the containers are automatically checked out to me once I type in the inventory decrement column. I'll be reminded if I choose to close the experiment and I left the inventory decrement blank. I can see the safety data in line on the table. The empty containers will be exhausted. I can take the workflow one step further and add any of the materials from the task to do sample table or the materials table to a plate. I can even add barcodes and containers directly via the materials list. This plate data or an Excel file or an ADT in my experiment can be sent from Signals Notebook to a Vitro Vivo workflow and published to Inventa. For more on our suite workflows, please see Dan Weaver's presentation on Signals Research Suite, a true SaaS platform to empower your scientific innovation. Let's look at one more workflow. At this time, I'm working with a cell line, and I've created additional materials from those cell lines. Instead of going one by one and registering the new material, I can select multiple rows and choose register instead. When done, the registration IDs will appear in the table, and after the registration is complete, I can bulk edit if I need to make further adjustments. Or if I have a CSV handy, I can choose the import and then do register or edit. I know we only have a limited time together, and I quickly spoke about the highlights, but my hope is that you see how focused we've been on integrating the material libraries and the inventory process into the everyday workflow of a scientist. For a real quick recap, users can scan containers into a table to save time and have the data populate for them, see safety data in the tables of their experiments, create containers, decrement directly to keep inventory up to date while at the same time automatically having a check-in, check-out, update status, experiment reminders built in, register, bulk edit, bulk edit, and upload from CSV material library information to keep a clean and up-to-date registration system. Create and track tasks with materials and container information without having to type in or remember numbers. Add materials to plates through tasks, materials, or sample tables, as well as scanning containers. One of the best parts about being a product manager is being able to interact with customers and hear feedback and desires. It all comes full circle when we're able to take that feedback and develop a new feature or functionality that delights our users. I hope you'll enjoy the next few slides as we take a look forward, as this is currently in the minds and even being developed by our amazing and talented teams. As always, I have to show you the safe harbor statement because these are not done, but we're working on them. So currently we have an external order request built into inventory. This is similar, but this is for internal material request. So users will be able to navigate to a material or a container and choose to place an internal request. There will be a form fill that's short and it'll be pre-populated based on where the user started the request from. This feature is expected also to expand out into additional workflows, experiment and tasks for sure. I have a new table coming to Signals Notebook. This table will be focused on the materials and containers. Users will have the opportunity to choose which library they would like to see the containers for. Included will be the ability to hide or add more columns based on asset, law, or container properties. Users will be able to do a generic text filter at the top of the page to be more specific about their filtering, or on each of the column types, there'll be a specific filtering and sorting capability. Even better news, once you get the results just how you like them, there'll be an export to CSV option. So this table already allows for maximum flexibility, but we're so excited to let the scientists find what containers they want, but also added bonus of being able to allow the inventory managers to have a report basis. So this will be the start of what they need for creating their external reports. And then also coming soon is a new RNA material library. So all of this to say, I want to take a moment to kind of review all of the different capabilities that we've talked about fully integrating the scientific workflow. It is absolutely imperative to making this work, making things flexible enough to meet your organization's need and your support for scientific workflows, even ones that we aren't particularly started out in that space where we're definitely expanding as much as we can. So we want to keep data easily accessible. We want to optimize workflows, make things efficient. We want to be able to have reporting as necessary. So I want to take a moment and thank everyone so much for their interest and attention and time today. I can never say it enough how grateful I am to have the opportunity to interact with such an amazing group of folks. Without the feedback and the willingness to work together, our products wouldn't be nearly as full-featured, well-designed, or efficient as they are. I welcome any opportunity to have additional and deeper conversations about what I can do to help you make your job better. Thank you.